I think Snow White 2025 is like the perfect modern fairy tale movie. The perfect modern fairy tale movie.
Welcome to Nice Ashes. Join hosts Mike and Nate for cigars and culture. Let's go beyond the smoke.
What are we smoking today, Nate?
We are smoking the Nest Maduro Toro, and we did the Nest Connecticut Toro, which we quite liked. And this one looks exactly the same, has the exact same label, so they're not really spending much on graphic design. But the label's fine, it's serviceable, and the only difference is this is a Maduro, whereas the other one was a Connecticut. So, again, it's the Blackbird Cigar Company.
I'm excited. I
will tell you I'm very excited for our episode topic, but we'll get into that in just a little bit. First few puffs are really smooth, Mike.
Yeah, I'm not going to complain about it. So far so good. I like it. There's a sweet note and with a real rich dark undertone. It's like exactly what you want a Maduro to be.
Yep.
At least in my head, you know what I mean? Good start.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes. I'm pairing mine with a Summit Saga Hazy IPA.
I have ice water and a glass of Crown Royal.
There you go. It's going to be one of those episodes. I can feel it.
Well, I might have partaken in Wisconsin libations earlier.
Yes.
Left-handed libations. I think that's probably a closer descriptor.
Okay.
I figured I needed a little bit of whiskey too, because I finished Snow White today, actually, and I watched it with
what we're
my
talking about?
wife. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Snow White, the classic, right?
Oh, damn, Mike. I watched White Snow. It's by the same director, though, so we should be good, right? Just kidding. I also watched the 2025 Disney live-action remake of Snow White. That had what? It had an awful lot of production problems, pre-release issues, controversies, and the whole nine.
Notorious. It became notorious. So before we even start the review, let's quick summary. We all know the story. Do you recommend watching the movie? Just in case the listeners want to watch before they listen. Should they watch the movie before they listen?
I have two thoughts on that, Mike, and one of them kind of is maybe, I don't know if it's like a spoiler for the end of the episode or if it's kind of a good thing to start off with. Do you want me to start with that in terms of answer to your question? Okay. I think Snow White 2025 is like the perfect modern fairy tale movie. The perfect modern fairy tale movie because it is full of touchy-feely goodness. Everybody's judged on the content of their character. Nobody actually fights anybody. There's a whole bunch of unnecessary singing. And they shit all over the source material. So it's pretty much your perfect modern fairy tale movie. Now, do I recommend watching it to understand this episode? You likely don't need to. This is a direct remake of the animated Snow White from Disney, and we'll be referencing that movie a bit through this, or a lot through this probably. And I'd say if you're not familiar with the true story of Snow White and why she's called Snow White and why the they-thems are called dwarves, then watch the original one. What about you, Mike? What do you think? Do you think the listener needs to watch the 2025 version?
Listeners, we do not talk to each other about episode topics before we record. That's part of the gimmick, right? And we genuinely don't.
We know what the topics are. We don't discuss anything about the topic before the episode, I guess is a better way to phrase it.
Yeah. We don't. I didn't even send him a text other than yes, because he ordered me to watch this version and not another and not to subvert the show or do anything like that.
And Mike was not looking forward to watching this movie.
No, I was not. I watched it with Voice of the Matriarchy, so she has some commentary here as well. I actually genuinely agree with Nate's summation that this is a great example of 2025 Hollywood trash. It fits right in with all the other schlock that's been put out in the last 5 years. And if you like that sort of shit, you'll like this movie. So,
and if you like Gal Gadot in queen outfits, you'll also like this movie.
Right. I mean, it's a perfect, I hate to say this after all the bad press, it's a perfectly serviceable, shitty-ass Disney movie of the current year.
You know, what's funny is I was expecting to hate it a lot more than I did. And I don't hate it necessarily. There's a lot of things filmically that I don't like. I've got some notes for them for how they could have made it less the message or the DEI stuff or what have you. I've got some concerns about some of the plot points where it's weird, but by and large, I watched it with my kids, but I wasn't like, God, I got to turn this off.
Yeah, I mean, I have commentary about that as well. My view was jaded by the fact that Wicked, the movie, came out last summer, and I did watch it in theater. Paid top dollar for those goddamn tickets in the best spot in the theater and all that jazz, so my wife could watch it.
Yep.
It's been infected by that sort of movie. Whereas Wicked's a movie for adults. It's a new story based on an older story. So the fact that there's like medieval peasants of every race and class that are all, peacefully existing together, it didn't throw me off. Like, it's predicted now. I don't think it's appropriate for Snow White, but for something like Wicked, it perfectly was. And that's a different movie, obviously. But visually, it looks like the movie Wicked. You can tell that it was made by the same, type of person and group of people. It looks the same.
Well, I want to talk about the film look a little bit later, but go on, Mike.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to say they stole scenes. There's a lot of intermingling. I know stealing isn't the right term because Snow White's been in production forever. So it's, you know what I mean? It's not it's not like it came out years later and just totally ripped it off. But there's a lot of crossover, which I don't think is good because it's Snow White. But I don't think it's necessary to watch for an adult unless you like that sort of like Star Wars story about Boba Fett that has him in an episode and a half. If you are okay with that, then this is going to be right up your alley. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same shit that Disney's been doing for a long time.
Pretty much. I mean, Snow White is pretty much the main character for the whole movie, and which is fine, but there are other characters in the Snow White movie that people enjoy. The dwarves, I don't know that they were ever officially named within the movie. This time, nobody called them a dwarf, but all of them. Grumpy and Doc and Dopey and Sleepy and Sneezy and all of them. And they're kind of, I felt like their role was drastically minimized. And we'll get into it a little bit later, but it's not really the bait and switch, I mean, they're giving you Snow White and this new modern take on Snow White, and it's not like, oh, hey, we're going to watch The Mandalorian, but it's really about Bo-Katan, or we're going to watch Ahsoka, but it's really about lesbian non-Jedi becoming a Jedi.
To be clear, I use that as an example, not because there was a bait and switch.
No, yes,
but because it's Disney trying to tell a story that really isn't the story that you are being
signed up for,
right? You sign up for the Snow White movie, you expect a Snow White story, not the Snow White story hybridized with Wicked, right? Like, that's alternate universe Snow White that existed in Once Upon a Time, the TV show. The premise of that story was that this is like alternate universe, right? Yeah. So this isn't, though. Like, if this was introduced as that, then that would be fine. That's what I mean. It's not bad. Yep. It's just not.
Yeah, they didn't do any work to fit it into make any sense or to make any. I mean, they made some homages back to the original animated one where she wore the dress from the animated one. But, they didn't really do anything to explain why this one was different other than happy, happy, joy, joy. You know what I mean? So
we'll get into it once we start, but.
Yeah.
Like I say, if I were I watched it with a critical eye and I'm pointing out the things that would otherwise bother me, but it didn't bother me because I knew going in what we were getting.
Yeah, I think we all kind of know what we're getting going into these things now. But should we hit into it? I took notes. I took a lot of notes.
I took notes live as I watched as usual, and I took some of my. There's going to be some voice of the matriarchy, and she even added emphasis a couple times.
Sure. Emphasis.
Yeah. So before we start, I wanted to talk about the length of the movie.
Dude, that was the very first thing I wrote. 2-hour long movie.
I was going to say, an hour and 54 minutes is too long for a children's movie.
Yeah. That's what the first thing I wrote was 2 hour long movie. And then the next thing I wrote was a lot of songs because it was like the first couple minutes and we already had several songs, it seemed.
Dude, it took me until halfway through to write down too many songs, but I also have too many songs. There we go.
Sure. Yeah.
Too much singing for my taste. And it was about when they started meeting the gang.
Okay.
Right before Kermit started singing, and right after they made the joke about the dictator destroying actors' lives.
Yeah.
Which was the matriarch. She noticed that line.
Oh,
she said it was a little too on the nose for Hollywood to point that out.
Yeah. I want to, before we get into this stuff, the very next thing I wrote was everything looks very clean. All the costumes and everything looks so clean that it does not look real. And I come back to that throughout the film because you have Snow White when she flees the kingdom, the castle. She's running through like the horror woods, right? And she comes out of that and she even falls in water and comes out of the water and crawls around on the dirt. And there's like not a spot on her dress. Like everything is always clean. There's no dust ever. Even in the dwarves' home, there's no dust. There's like piles of things on the floor and on the table, but there's no dust or dirt or grime. Like it's all just super hyper clean, and it really like threw me for a loop because it was like you're in the woods, you're living with 7 small they-thems, or was it the band of bandits? But they were all clean too. Like nobody ever had dirt on their face or on their outfits, and everything was super clean. And it seemed like they were either always in front of green screen or always on like artificial plants and grass and things. And there's never any dirt. And it looked too clean to be believable.
Yeah. Like I didn't write that down. I wrote visually it looks like Wicked, which is similar. Nobody ever gets dirty.
Sure. Okay.
But also it's like a weird fantasy, like.
I know. I'm not a fan of that aesthetic.
West End
it really
story.
kind of like threw me, like.
Yeah. It didn't throw me. I was kind of, once I made the comparison in my head,
sure,
it was fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I did mark that. I like the opening scene with the animals in the book when it opens and they start playing. I was like, oh, that's a good way to start. You hated it. Why did you fucking hate it? I liked it. What's wrong with it?
Because then at the end, the little hedgehog waves at me and I'm like, fuck off. You don't know me.
Nasty, unpleasant man.
I mean, so they used to do that on all their animated ones. They'd have the book there and the book would open and all that. And it's like, yeah, okay. But you're a 2 hour long movie. You got time for this shit? Like, come on, Jesus. And the next thing I wrote was the king never speaks. He only sings. The king never ever speaks. He only sings. And then I wrote, they pick a fuck ton of apples and make huge pies. There's a lot of really fake looking costume, jewelry, gemstones, and there's no hunger or poverty until the evil queen comes, right? Exactly. But I think we should back up a little bit. And Snow White is called Snow White not because her skin is white as snow and lips as red as, I don't know, butt rash or something, but because she was born in a snowstorm as a tiny itty bitty like newborn infant. And there's a scene later towards the end where I'm like, oh my God. So we'll get to that, I'm sure. But everyone needs to remember she's called Snow White now because she was born during the snow. I'm just glad she wasn't born during Hurricane Katrina because then we'd have Princess Hurricane Katrina and FEMA's lack of response or something. So
the king is like a light-haired white man. And the queen is like Hispanic for sure.
Yeah.
And this town visually is like a fantasy version of a German castle town.
With the population of like downtown LA.
Right. Also, no walls protecting anybody. And I noticed this, the gates and all of the ironwork. You could fucking like rip it out with an S10. Like it's not going to stop anything. Like if the peasants revolted, they could just walk through it because it's all ornamental,
get to that too. Yeah.
Pretty stuff. We'll get to it too later.
Yeah.
It's so visually stylized.
It's like too pretty to be real that it took me out of it a lot.
Stylized.
I was kind of like, it's too much.
Yeah, you don't need a castle and a castle town with a moat if there's no fucking walls and there's no barriers to storming the castle. Like there's no purpose for this castle. It doesn't.
And they didn't do a really good job either of setting up the castle and like the surrounding buildings. Like they introduced this Robin Hood like character, I guess, that's stealing food from the evil queen, and then they tie him up to like a portcullis or like a iron wall or something, but then they just leave him there and he's just tied up with rope. So Snow White comes and unties him or something.
Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. The evil queen, this is her evilness here, people.
Ooh.
The evil queen caught, we'll call him Robin for now. We're going to change his name later.
Well, I don't know what his name is. I fucking don't know what it is.
His name is Kermit.
Okay.
His canon name, as far as the show is concerned, is Kermit because when he sings, he sounds and looks like Kermit the Frog in a Muppet movie.
But I like Kermit the Frog in a Muppet movie because Kermit the Frog is supposed to be there. Some male Robin Hood-esque character is not supposed to be in Snow White.
In that opening singing scene of his, he flops his arms around just like Kermit, and he sounds like him too. And I'm like,
well, they did a song later in the movie that I actually liked together. Like the song at the end, I thought was good, but
the songs
by
were
and
perfectly
large,
adequate.
The songs were mostly forgettable, though. Like they put a different spin on the hi ho, you know?
Yeah.
And it was like worse. It wasn't worse, but it was, I don't know. They could have done something better with it, in my opinion.
Sure. Back to the thief, Robin, who's going to become Kermit. Yeah. She takes his shoes, takes the food he stole back, and then lightly, and I mean lightly, ties his hands with a rope to like the ornamental metalwork on the side of the castle.
And nobody knew where
in front
it was.
Of people, like, and he could have ripped it off. Yeah, like Rachel Zegler with her nail. Yeah, he could have untied it himself. Like, it was the kindest thing. This is going to be a theme that's going to come back later.
Man, it's so...
The evil queen isn't so evil. I don't know what's so evil about her. And I think this is a good point, not to steal the show, but I think this is a good point to talk about casting. Because Rachel Zegler as Snow White is fine. She's fine. She sings very well. And if you're going to do a Latino Snow White, she's an adequate choice, right? But Gal Gadot is not an appropriate casting. And it's not because of what the online reviewers are saying she's better looking than Rachel Zegler. That's an opinion.
It's an opinion. She's
too young. They needed to have like Liv Tyler, an actress closer to 50 that has like some wrinkle or the start of wrinkle. Gal Gadot at 40 is too young.
You know who would have been really good and brought quite a bit of, could have potentially brought some gravitas to it, would be Jennifer Connelly.
Oh, sure. I'm going to take a look. Is she getting older? Like, is she looking older?
Well, I feel so. I mean, you could even get, Julie Dreyfus, whatever.
Oh, yeah,
Julie. Yeah. From Seinfeld. Right? Like,
Julie Louise Dreyfus.
Yeah, she's more comedic, but I mean, you could get somebody like that. I mean, you want somebody not like Kathy Bates?
No, you want, like I said, Liv Tyler's a great choice.
When you have Gal Gadot looking like Gal Gadot, being like, who's prettier than me? You're kind of like, are you serious right now?
She's 10 years too young. She needs to be older.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You need, like you said, like Liv Tyler would be a good choice. I mean, you need one of those kind of like 90s, early 2000s, like supermodels that are now not supermodel-ish, right? And that's not a bad thing. I mean, everybody ages and people can age gracefully and things like that. But you need somebody that can kind of lend that more bitter pill of, I realize that those tight blemish-free skin days or whatever are kind of behind me.
Right. Yeah, that's like, you need somebody who's on the point of no longer being peak young attractive anymore, which Gal Gadot still is. So she's just not the right casting. That's all that I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like,
you could have even got Natalie Portman, you know.
Possibly, or Keira Knightley, maybe, if you, did her makeup. You know what I mean? Like, maybe even Gal Gadot, if you had done her makeup right and had her have some creasing or skin that's not perfectly smooth everywhere.
Yeah, and that's kind of the whole, one of the biggest complaints of the whole film to me is everything is too perfect. Like, everything. You know, it's too clean, everything's too well lit, everything, you know, it's too much perfection.
Right. I mowed the lawn. I had to wash my hair 3 times. Like, these guys are running around in the woods with no access to running water.
Yeah. And they're wearing like these fanciful outfits that you'd be sweating your them private bits off in. So,
right. Yeah.
And I say them like mockingly because that's what right. We even on the show we were like, oh yeah, and the the 7 non-proportionally heighted thems or something like that. For their lack of wanting to flat out call them dwarves, which is fine. I mean, that's fine. And then, you know, the big thing with the mirror now is who's fairest of all, and they've redefined fair, or not redefined, but very clearly redefined fair in this telling of Snow White as different from the original Snow White, where fair meant outward beauty. And
Yes.
they turned it to inward beauty. And one of my big complaints with the whole film is, if the evil queen is so evil as the movie tries to paint her to be, with thieves and things, then literally any person, regardless of gender, would be fairer than the queen.
So I also noticed that, and it was
Right?
pathetic, because it's like you went from being physically attractive,
Shit.
and then at the end, the twist is it's in your soul. But then the evil queen wasn't all that evil, was she? Which, by the way, we're going to find out. She's not as evil as I'd be.
But so what? Like, even if she was evil, right? Even if she was the literal most evil person on the planet in this universe, Snow White, who abandoned her duty as heir to the throne and became subservient to the evil queen, is somehow fairer than the evil queen or fairer than Kermit? Like, why is there not a man that's more fair than the queen? There was never a man proposed as fairer than the queen. The lady down the street baking the pie crusts for all those fucking apple pies that they made, she's not fairer than the queen. Like, she's slaving away in the kitchen. That's got to be fairer than the queen. Like, wouldn't the right? Because they fake kill Snow White, or what do they do? Put her down for a dirt nap. But she's not really dead because it's the thing. And then the mirror's like, now you're fairest of all, queen. Well, wouldn't it be like Bertha, the pie maker? Or wouldn't it be like Richard, the blacksmith? Or literally anybody else other than the queen? Because the movie's trying to paint the queen as the most evil person ever?
Yeah, we'll get to the huntsman. That huntsman storyline just bothered the shit out of me.
I can see Gal Gadot being prettier than anyone in that town, outwardly. But when you with the twist at the end is it's your character that counts, it's like, well, you've got a whole ton of characters that are better than the queen, for fuck's sake. Like, why would the queen ever be number two? The queen would never be number two.
Why not Ben, the farmer with the wife and the apple orchard, who's got the wife that
he's got
makes
like
the cider for
infirm. He's got the infirm wife, and he's out working tilling 2 fields or something. You know what I mean? Like, come on. Literally anyone in the town is fairer than the queen. So even if Snow White was dead, which everybody knows she's not, the queen would never be number two if inner beauty is what counts.
Right. Okay. So. We haven't even made it out of the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the huntsman then, because the huntsman put in some of the worst acting I've ever seen when he was trying to kill Snow White, and then all I wrote was "go" and then ha 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 in my notes, because it was like the fucking worst thing ever. And then beyond that, he doesn't even put an actual fucking heart in the box. I don't even remember what he put in the box. But she didn't even check it when he
put the poison apple in
apple.
the box.
It was it a poison apple or just a regular apple? Because I thought he was just going to stab her.
It was just an apple. Yeah, it was just an apple.
Yeah, and she what? And then the queen was like, "Oh, I trust you did it," even though I've shown everybody up to this point in the movie that I'm distrustful of everybody. And I just, an apple does feel like a heart weight. I guess I wouldn't know because I say I'm an evil queen, but maybe I'm not evil enough to have held many human hearts. So I don't know. And she wouldn't have checked.
It made no sense.
How long was she gone? Like, wouldn't that kind of like start to smell? Like, wouldn't you open the box, look at it, and be like, "Holy fuck"? So I don't know.
All right, so Huntsman, I'm gonna skip through the Huntsman's timeline because it really
let's just do the Huntsman, and then we got a lot of notes to get through, and I'm like halfway through the Scars about. So
am I. So the Huntsman, he didn't kill Snow White. He didn't put a beast's heart in the box, which is what he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
To trick her, he put an apple. No tricking. So he's basically turning himself over to the mercy of the queen. He knows right away he's fucking donezo. So
and the queen was so evil she put him in the dungeon instead of just beheading him.
Yeah.
Like the queen in Alice in Wonderland was way more evil.
Oh, yes. This is where I'm going.
Yes. Okay.
He's in the dungeon. They throw Kermit in with him, right? So Kermit is an enemy of the state, committed treason. So did the Huntsman. He helped Snow White escape, who's a fugitive.
This is the second time Kermit's been caught, too.
The second time
Like, wouldn't you be so mad as the queen if you punished somebody and then they got out of it and came back, plus also wrecked a lot of your plans with your other minions, and like, oh, no, we're just putting him in the dungeon.
He's a thief, and now he's in for treason, literal treason, right?
Yeah.
So what do? You put him in the dungeon. And this dungeon, which we haven't seen yet, it's brightly lit. These guys have
no
a ton
dirt.
of
dirt.
No dirt, brightly lit, warm inside has to be because there's so much fucking light. And they have these long ass chains that are like lightly tied to them that they can rip out of the wall.
Yeah.
And they're long. Like they can hang out together. They're not like shackled to the wall, hanging, dying. Like it's a lovely dungeon.
Yes.
And then
I wish I could live in that dungeon. Go on.
back to the huntsman. He helps this guy who committed treason
but only under
break free
duress
and escape from prison. Right? And then he shows up at the end of the movie and he's perfectly fine. Nice, clean new clothes. Also, they had all their jewelry and shit on. And their clothes on in the dungeon. They're not wearing rags.
How else would
They're
you
wearing
know
their
the
clothes.
characters, Mike? We can't see inner beauty from the outside, so the film department decided to have them keep their costumes so we could keep them all apart because everybody looks the same. Everybody looks the same.
So
no one person is more beautiful outwardly than any other person. So we need the costumes
you can't
to tell
the
them
difference. Yeah, the Black Huntsman and Kermit, who's the main character, you can't tell the difference. So they have to keep all their jewelry, all their clothes.
Why does he have to be
also? Because he is a black guy.
You could
He's
just
very,
say the
very
huntsman.
black.
You could just say the huntsman.
Yeah, but his race
I'm
matters.
giving you the
he's
dude.
like,
I'm giving you the shit, dude. I'm giving you the shit.
She never once tortured anybody or killed anyone at all, and her facilities are extremely nice. Like way nicer than prisons are. Like, in reality.
Literally, the only thing she did was put a stop to the random pie days, right? And it's like, how many of the kingdom's apples went into this big pie opening number production whenever they felt like doing pies? And so I was thinking like, okay, so you've got kind of like this free love hippie commune where the king is like, I don't care how much it costs, but he sings it because he can't speak. I just want to have apple pies for everybody. And then the evil queen comes in and is like, dude, have you seen our ledger? Like, we're not good. We need to put a stop to this apple pie thing. And then everybody in the kingdom's like, boo, it's an evil queen. She took away our apple pies. And she's like, look, grow your own apple pies. They didn't even say she was like collecting taxes or anything, just that she was not like providing free apple pies. And so then she's like, we got to balance
Snow White's
the budget.
argument to the evil queen about how everything would be better in the kingdom if you just allowed them to do apple pie days again.
Yeah.
The queen said, well, listen, bitch, the economy sucks. Do you think apple pies are going to like somehow
right? And so she comes in and tries to balance the budget. And then she's like, no, we can't do apple pies because have you seen how much it costs us? And she's not even like taxing people actively in the film. Like nobody's like, you're taxing us too much, man. No, they're just like, we just want our apple pies and we're hungry. Well, why are you hungry? Grow your own apple trees. Like I'm not even taxing you. Like we're literally not even taxing you. Nothing has changed except
she doesn't have a fence to keep them away.
Yeah,
if they're that upset.
Not, like, and the dude, right? Robin Hood Kermit or whatever. It's not easy being hungry. He walks right into the fucking castle. He walks right into the storeroom of the castle to steal what of all things, an apple, right? He walks literally into the castle. They don't even show him doing like Mission Impossible shit to get in there. He was just like, I'm going to take this apple. And then Snow White. And then nobody recognizes Snow White, like the only Latino person in the fucking castle. Who are you? You're some stranger. I don't know you. Like it's not Snow White. Come on.
So the huntsman breaks Kermit out of prison. No guards to stop them. There's no guards in their jail. They just
would there
leave.
be, man?
They just walk away to the woods without any resistance.
Yeah.
Like, this is not how evil. Like, this evil queen is nicer than the sheriff in your local county, I assure you.
Yes, she has to be. All she wanted to do was balance the budget, and then Snow White's like, we need our apple pies back. And everybody's like, yeah, I love apple pies. And she's like, what about the road? And it's like, apple pies, but the roads, apple pies, the sewers, apple pies.
Dude, there's even a subtext to the movie where there's a possibility she didn't even kill the king. Like, he just disappeared. We don't have any backstory other than she takes credit for it.
Yeah, and they did this weird stuff too, right? Like, they were teasing that the king was still alive through all of this movie, and that Snow White was like hoping for her dad to come back, and then she was hoping that Kermit was going to save her and all this stuff, and then it's like, man, I thought this was supposed to be a strong female empowerment movie, and here she is like hoping the men come and do the dirty work. And then
but she did save herself in the end or whatever.
Well, she didn't, because at the end of the movie there was no dirty work. It was like, I remember you, Bill. Your wife's name is Sue. And he's like,
whatever.
Fuck, that's right. I'm going to fight with you. Not the one that's trying to balance the budget. I want the one that remembers my name and my wife's name and gives me apple pie, because I love apple pie. Holy fuck.
And the evil queen just runs away.
Yeah, no, she got sucked into the mirror universe.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, she did. And then the mirror repaired itself or something. But
well, yeah, whatever. Because nobody can actually ever die or have anything bad happen to them in this movie. And
no.
I don't know, man. I said like the animals looked really crazy fake, which I guess is fine because like it's supposed to be kind of like Disney-ish, but the animals weren't like twittering at her or nudging her. They just kind of were there in the background. They didn't really do what they did in the animated one, which is like, I mean, I guess they kind of, they kind of sort of like alerted the dwarves or whatever we're calling them about the poison apple thing, but it wasn't as obvious as in the animated one where the animals actually cared for Snow White and showed concern and stuff. And they were just kind of always there. And there's always like some sort of animal in the background of all the scenes. And of course you could see everything because there's no dust or dirt or anything. And I was like, man, the dwarves, I wasn't a huge fan of like they looked overly CGI mostly because they were so clean, despite them living in a pigsty and mining all day underground. But the dwarves have like magic hands that turn stones into gems or something. Like I thought they just went underground to like mine, but now they're touching like rocks that are clearly not gems and turning them into gems. So I wasn't really sure about what that was. And it seems like they kind of made 3 different classes or stuff. They've got like the villagers and the queen and the people in the city. They've got the dwarves who are some kind of like magic entity that don't get involved in human things, it sounded like in this one. And then they've got like the bandits or the people, all these people living out there. But I think it was like 6 people that were living out there as bandits. So they didn't really show us like the bandit home village thing either. So... And the dwarves are kind of like, we're not going to help out a whole lot. I don't know, man. It was weird.
Yeah. The dwarves looked like total shit. And the second they started having magical powers, it's exactly the thing I said. Like, just have actors do magical shit. Like, how hard is that? It's not that bad. Also, I watched it
worked for The Hobbit, right? It worked for The Hobbit, so they could have certainly done
for The Hobbit.
Something.
Yeah, they could have done something. So the closed captioning provided by Disney calls them miners. That's what they're called. In the story, they're called miners.
They made a few minor things, but and then so this is what that's the other thing I said is like the dwarves, man. You want diverse people? Make the dwarves diverse. Snow White is white. She's white. White as skin, or skin white as snow. In the source book, fairy tale, whatever. The dwarves, they could be anything. You could literally make them any race you wanted. Nobody would really care. Nobody would care.
No, that's not a relevant fact.
What are the dwarves mining? What are they doing with all these gems? They live in a shithole. I mean, it's a beautiful cabin, right? Because everything's beautiful in this movie. But it's like dirty. They couldn't hire help. They couldn't hire like a deer or a bird or, I don't know, a raccoon to come in and clean their place. What are they doing with these gems? Why do they need these gems? What's the purpose of the gems?
Use their magic to clean it up because they clearly are magic.
Yeah.
Like, figure it out.
Well, and one dwarf even goes like, I can't wait to floss. Like, what the fuck what are we talking about here? Are we trying to get kids to floss their teeth? Or are we talking about the dance? Like, what are these dwarves doing?
How are these guys miners and they're so poorly coordinated that
they're mining.
Hammer nails?
When do they make their food and shit? Like, they show them going to work early in the morning and coming home from work late in the evening, and they're not really concerned about food, but then you go and they've got, like, dirty dishes and stuff, so who's making this food? Who's eating this food? What's going on?
I don't know. You want to do a cigar check?
Yeah. I'm liking it. I'm liking the cigar.
I like it. It's nothing spectacular, but it really is exactly isn't. What you want it to be. So
Yeah. It's better than middle of the road right now, for sure. It's not overly dark, but it's got nice flavors. That's about all I can say this time. I don't know. I thought like in the original, so in the original Snow White, didn't Snow White clean the whole house before she fell asleep? And they came in and they're like, what's going on? And then this one, she just like passes out. And then like she makes them clean their house, which I guess is fine, but it's kind of like women are fair and men are pigs. You know what I mean? Like it kind of like men can have clean homes too. It's not a gender thing. And they tried so hard to undo some female stereotypes that it was difficult that they didn't undo some of the male stereotypes too. But again, I guess they don't give a shit if men are portrayed as bad, which is kind of modern Hollywood, and that's okay. It's not really okay.
Yeah, she was like the cleaning scene. I knew it was coming. Yeah. It wasn't as bad as some of the reviewers try to make it seem. But I did laugh. I started laughing when she showed the guy how to use a broom like a straw boss. And then she continued just miming and straw bossing to these grown-ass we'll call them men, but whatever.
Yeah,
and she's just straw bossing these fuckers. It's like, who made you the fucking skin? Like, you're not in charge of shit. This isn't your house.
Yeah,
you're
not even a princess anymore. You got thrown out of the kingdom. Like, who are you?
Yeah. Like,
and then, like, in between this, they also had, like, the All Is Fair When You Wear the Crown song, and the whole choreography was super weird. Like, super weird. The whole song was awkward and weird. And then, so they have a whole scene where they explain that Dopey isn't a dope just because his name is Dopey. But they didn't do that for Grumpy or Doc or literally any other one. And Dopey in the animated one is like, I don't know what's the term where they're kind of like an endearing. It's almost a term of endearment, right? Like he's not. Right. I don't think anyone's calling him like flat out retarded or something. You know what I mean?
They're not calling him a rube. It's not mean.
Yeah, and then they do a whole scene where Dopey's being bullied by the other dwarves because, the movie's got a 2-hour runtime, so they definitely have time for that. And then, so she teaches them to clean, she teaches Dopey to whistle, and then gives them all a listening lecture. And then this scene I had heard about online, and I was watching it, and I'm like, yeah, this one really doesn't jive with me. And they're in a magic forest, of course, but they have sunlight coming in every single window at the same time in the same intensity everywhere. So like when they're doing that whole like cleaning and the dancing around the house, like sun is coming in from every single window and casting shadows like into the inner center of the building. And it's not something everybody would kind of notice, but it goes to that everything is too clean and too perfect and too well lit and too like to be real, right? So it was just one of those like filmmaking things where it's like you need your viewers to be able to suspend their disbelief, and if you're making everything too perfect and light coming in everywhere, even though it doesn't make sense for sunlight to do that, and you're not on Tatooine where there's several suns and whatever, it's difficult for the viewer to kind of process, even if they don't notice it consciously. It's something that your viewers kind of sits the wrong way with your viewer, and they don't know why.
Yeah, the way I would describe it now that you're talking about it, so I'll try to explain the way I view it, is it's too surreal to be realistic.
Yeah.
And it's too realistic to be surreal.
Yes.
And it's not like, it's that middle ground, and it's disquieting. Like
it's
they're trying to be
to where you just want to like throw your arms up and call bullshit on everything.
Right. Like if it's super surreal, then you can, suspend disbelief and just go with it. But this is not surreal enough. Like there's too much reality mixed in. Like it has to be a little crazier,
Yep. Okay, I want to talk about this next song, and I don't mean to be taking like all the notes or reading off of all my notes. I figured you'd interject when you do. She doesn't want to get directions from anybody. Like the dwarves are like offering to, or I don't know, somebody was trying to offer her directions. I don't remember why. But she just like wanders out and happens to find the bandits. And Kermit, who was very thankful for Snow White saving his life because he couldn't untie a fucking knot on a whatever. Now he's like an asshole. And so he's singing a song about it sounds like princess problems, which I think is hilarious.
Kermit the Frog saying that because he looks just like him.
Yeah. But it's so like out of character because the only on-screen exposure we've had with him is he's kind of like the noble Robin Hood, and he's stealing food to feed his 5 other woodland dwellers, I guess. And he like tosses Snow White or tells Snow White to take an apple or take some food for herself so she can eat too. And then Snow White saves his life. And then he's going to sing a whole song about how everything in her life sounds like a princess problem. Which, I mean, it kind of is, because if she would have stood up to the evil queen earlier, like there would be no problems. But I guess she needs 2 hours to go back and feel good about herself at the end of the movie or something. But
well, again, how evil is the evil queen? All she was doing was trying to correct years of bad economic policy by the king. Right?
I understand that. And it's Gal Gadot.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like for his character, right? And that's the thing with these modern movies is they don't worry. They don't care about the character, the character arc and the character story. Like if he would have been an asshole at the beginning and singing a song about princess problems and then Snow White finally won him over so they could go and do the final battle that wasn't actually a battle, then that's a character arc for him. But if he's nice in the beginning and then the movie needs him to be kind of like an asshole, then he's kind of an asshole. And then as soon as he's done being an asshole, he's back to being friendly And you know, like, it doesn't make any sense character-wise, right? Like, that's called character development, and they don't do that anymore. Here's the next scene, Mike, and you might have written this down too, is like the bandits take on the palace guards who are armed with swords, and the bandits are using sticks and rocks. And then Snow White comes in and like saves the fucking day somehow with like nothing.
That is not what I wrote down. But I did write down something.
Okay. Well, I knew you wrote something down about it. I just, you know, go on.
The queen sends out like 3 or 4 squads of guys because there's 20, 25. So maybe there's 5 squads. Right, so there's these little units that are all going together.
They're called miners.
They all have
miners in
on.
this film. The little units are miners.
Yeah. So they have this band of guys, maybe 25. They have no dogs. They have 1 horse for the like the lieutenant or the captain, whoever's leading this crew.
Yeah.
I, at my house right now, have more resources at my exposure or my fingertips to go and find somebody. My disposal. I could go and put a better search party together than this evil queen. She's not trying very hard.
No.
Like, to find her, where are the dogs? Why do they not have fucking horses?
Do you know why they don't have dogs?
They have arrows.
Horses,
like
Mike?
All of them should have bows.
It's explained in the movie. It's explained in the movie why they don't have dogs and horses, Mike.
Okay, what is the... I did not catch that.
Okay. What do horses like to eat a lot?
Oats, hay, alfalfa...
Apples, Mike. Apples. They fucking love apples. And what do dogs like to eat? Pies, Mike. They like pies. And what do the citizens like to eat in this village? Apple pies. So they can't have horses or dogs because they'd never get any fucking apple pies down their mouth holes, right?
Okay. Let's just say that I could find Snow White easier than the guards. She gave them no resources. I mean, they're not even a hunting party. Like, hunters have more equipment than these fucking guys.
Man, I'm telling you, it's the apples. It's the apples and the pies. Am I wrong, Donnie? No, yeah, you're right. There's the... man, and the guards, they have swords and shit. And they literally threw like a tiny pebble at one of the guards, and they somehow all got away.
They have armor.
Well, yeah, and they have armor, and
like
and
some
then like
thrown stones probably not going to bother you.
Yeah, and so it's like, and then Snow White wants to fight with the bandits, and it's like, well, we haven't seen any. We didn't even see you take like a fencing class as a child. You stood over a wishing well and like looked down at the water. And then listen to your dad sing songs at you. And then, like, right after Kermit sings, that sounds like a princess problem, he suddenly likes her again so that he takes an arrow to the fucking chest to save her life. And she brings them back to the dwarves. And the dwarves make, like, how many jokes do the dwarves make before they even start to look at the arrow? They're, like, just making all these jokes. And then Snow White's like, well, faith in each other will make their lives better. And then Doc is like, well, I know my name is Doc, but I only know about rocks. So it's kind of like that meme where it's like, is there a doctor on the plane? And it's like, yeah, I'm a doctor of computer science or something. And they're like, oh, no. And he's like, set old man health to 100 or something, you know. And it's like, it's funny in a meme, but this is a 2-hour movie with multiple millions of dollars attached to it. And then Snow White does like a communist manifesto. And then suddenly Doc knows how to save lives. And he comes out and he's like, well, I split the stone and the geode and blah, 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 and some kind of bullshit. And this works.
Yeah. They literally use their magic. They literally use their magic to heal
Which
him.
they could have
because
used
they're
any
like
time of the day. Like
elves.
they could have just done that instead of make fucking jokes. And then Doc makes like a special friend reference to like Kermit and Snow White, and you can tell like everybody on set is like, it's in the script, and like we're paid to say this line, but we're all cringing with you, audience, because this is fucking like, this is terrible. And then so everybody was embarrassed at that, and then she's told, like, Snow White didn't even know that he saved her life because she was just like, I'm in a battle. And then he's like, I'm going to save you. And she's like, I'm in a battle and I'm going to save everybody because I'm Snow White. And then he's like, oh, there's an arrow in me. And she's like, oh, how did that happen? Not saving me for sure. And then she's like, ooh, he saved my life. That's actually kind of hot right now. And then I wrote, fuck, they sing about everything. And there's still 50 minutes left. Jesus. Now they're walking in the woods hand in hand. Let's have a consensual non-kiss because it's interrupted. But the foundation for consent was laid, thank God, because of all of the things that they changed in this movie to make it more liberal and DEI and everything. They could have just fucking changed what cured the apple thing. Like when they opened the book and they were like, only true love's kiss can cure this disease. I was like, why would they even do that? Why wouldn't they just say like literally anything else? Go and hum the Zelda theme in her ear.
They kind of did, though. They kind of did, because he didn't kiss her on the mouth. He kissed her on the fucking cheek, like the chin cheek area. And then when they have their big passionate kiss, also on the cheek, not on the mouth, right? You could see the guy's mouth, his whole mouth in the kissing scene.
Yeah. But I mean, like, they could have made it anything, though. They could have, like, what would wake her up would be a tender stroke through the hair in a non-sexual way. I mean, they've changed so much already about the movie, about the animated one, that they could have just made it anything. Like, she needs a pine needle tea. She needs Dopey to whistle at her. You know what I mean? Like, it could have literally been anything.
A drop of water from Galadriel's bathtub, because why not? They have everything else.
A strand of her hair, whatever, Little John's fighting stick, whatever. Whatever. It could have been anything.
Yes. Yeah, a goblet of ale blessed by Friar Tuck.
A pint of butterbeer from Harry Potter. It could have been anything. Like, and they got everybody got all their panties in a twist about like, how can we make this like kiss consensual or non-sexual or whatever? And it's like, man, you made Snow White not white. You made the inner beauty be the fairest of all. You've made Dopey not dopey. You've done all of these changes already. Like the True Love's kiss was a bridge too far for you at this point? Like, I don't think so.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And then so the castle guards come and trap the bandit leader somehow. I don't even remember how. It doesn't matter. So thanks for saving his life, I guess, Doc. And then the queen goes to her potion room, which has near-field communication because all the doors and potions got ready before she even got near the room. Like, it's getting ready, and then she's, like, singing. So is it, like, a voice-activated thing, or does she have to just get within 50 feet of it, and then it kind of activates? I mean, how does it know when she's ready to brew potions? What if she just happens by there in the hallway? Does the whole thing get ready? And then she's like, oh, fuck, I got to change the... Like, I don't know. Like, that was weird. Fuck, how many more notes do I have? Jesus, I got a lot of notes, man. You already talked about that? Oh, yeah, here's what I put. They could have made the end of anything. Somebody tells her their pronouns and boom, she wakes up. So then she decides she's going to... So she was, like, dead for, like, 3 minutes of the film. And so they made the queen find out... Before we
get to waking her up. So these magic beings did not make her a glass coffin and set up a little shrine.
Put her fucking awkwardly on this rock thing. I was like, are you trying to do
her on
Pride Rock
mossy ass dirt covered rock next to a lake in a slough. Like, you can see the cattails.
And somehow nobody was dirty. Everybody was still clean.
Yeah. Bunch of weeping willows, a bunch of cattails in this slough. They put her on a mossy rock, and that's good enough, I guess, for Snow White.
Yeah, I mean, they explained in the animated one that, like, the glass coffin would preserve her for, like, hundreds of years or something, right? Like, they put some of their dwarf magic into that glass coffin in the animated one. And then in this one, they're just like, yeah, just out here where, like, a deer can come and lick her cheek or a coyote can come take her toe, whatever. Like, we don't really care.
The rats will get her.
Yeah, and she was posed awkwardly. Like, she was just, like, on this rock thing. It was weird. I did notice that.
It was like a field rock. It was not like a flat stone.
No, it wasn't even like, they didn't do anything to it. They were just like, we got to put her somewhere. Over there, I guess. I put, like, she was going to go leave the dwarves to go find her father. And for being a strong woman movie, she sure needs a lot more men in her life than the original Snow White did. But the queen interrupts her before she can leave, and why would anyone let this old-ass evil-looking lady in their house? I don't let any solicitors in my house. And the queen tells Snow White that the bandit leader's captured and has the necklace thing that's the fucking MacGuffin or whatever. And Snow White's going to go rescue him somehow, even though she has no formal fighting training or anything. But I guess, it worked earlier. She just had to untie a knot, so. And then the queen's like...
She knows there's no guards.
Yeah, it's like the queen, the evil queen is like, you're going to be hungry on your trip. Eat this apple. Don't get snackish on the road now. And the queen spins some mad bullshit about how she enjoyed all the apples from Snow White's communist father, hippie father, and wants to return the favor. So she eats it, of course. And then right before Snow White blacks out, the queen's like, I'm the evil queen. But who gives a fuck? And then the queen just leaves her there. Doesn't, like, cut her head off. Doesn't lock her up. Doesn't hide her. Just is like, hey, you passed out. And I'm gone now. And in the cartoon, the dwarves, like, tossed that evil bitch off the cliff and fucking killed her. And the crows, the turkey vultures came down and ate her. You know what I mean? like in the cartoon. And no, the queen
in
gets
this movie.
Yeah.
The dwarves and the animals have no agency. Where like they fulfilled all these actors in the original with like the townspeople and Robin Hood and his men and all this side shit.
Yeah, it's interesting
that nobody
they
cares about.
Took so much care to not call them dwarves, but they also gave them zero agency. So they're like, well, we're going to be pro like short people, but they don't get to do anything in our movie because our movie's only for fully heighted people. But we can't call them dwarves, so they're minors. But only fully heighted people can do anything in our movie. Animals are not fully heighted people, so they also cannot do anything. So she gets the fairest of all title back, the evil queen. And we talk about this, and it's like, but, you know, fairest is inner beauty, so wouldn't anybody else in the kingdom, like literally anybody else, be more fair? And men, too. Like, there's probably a man that's more fair than the evil queen. Except, of course, we've already talked about the evil queen is not really that evil in this one. But then I put, thank God the dwarves don't do funeral pyres, or this movie would be 40 minutes shorter. If they would have just set her out on a boat and lit her on fire, it'd be like, oh, thank God, the movie's over.
Hell yeah.
Can you imagine? And then and I was like, thankfully, the movie has time for super long establishing shots that don't really tell you anything because they did like a fuck ton of establishing shots. And then the bandit leader, and we talked about the huntsman, and the bandit leader's like, Snow White never gave up on us. And then that's what motivated the huntsman, who'd already like saved Snow White, motivates him to get up and help Kermit out of fucking jail. So of course they get out, right? Yeah, I put the awkward rock thing as the funeral thing, I guess. And then I was like, oh shit, the bandit leader kissed her without consent. Hey, look at that, it worked anyway. And she was dead for like 3 minutes, and now they get their long-awaited consensual kiss, even though it was kind of a cop-out. And then Snow White then believes the evil queen killed her father because the queen never fucking lies. And then here's the bit. Remember at the beginning of the episode when I was like, remember she was born in a snowstorm, and she was like, that's why I'm called Snow White. So she sings this whole fucking song about how badass she was as a baby, as an infant, that she would have no memory of. So she was like this badass baby in a snowstorm, which that's not a thing. You can't be a badass baby.
Sounds like all the servants were badass in the snowstorm that kept everybody alive.
And her parents and her singing father. But she needs to know if she can still be that badass baby, if that badass baby is still inside. And it's like that badass baby shit its pants. So if you want to go shit your pants, Snow White, then I guess, yes, the quote-unquote badass baby is still inside. You want to suck on a breast, then yes, I guess the badass baby is still inside. The Norwegians leave their babies in their strollers outside in the wintertime. So I don't know how being born inside a carriage, they showed us at the beginning of the film, to two warmly dressed parents who then swaddled you in very warm blankets and things. I don't know how that makes you a badass baby. And Snow White was the only baby ever in this kingdom born in a snowstorm. There was no other babies born that same day or during that same storm or any other winter storms. It was just Snow White.
Impossible.
Wouldn't there be a lot of babies called Snow White then?
Don't make it make sense.
So Snow White decides she needs to restore the kingdom, and now Dopey can speak. Like, what the fuck? The actual fuck. Like, why would Dopey need to speak?
Dude, the voice of the matriarchy, like, walked out of the room. She yelled and walked out of the room. She had to get ready for an exercise class. And that's when she abandoned the movie. She was like, I'm done now.
The exercise class is like punching her pillow until, like, Kathleen Kennedy gets bruised. Snow White shows back up at the village. Like, people would recognize her. But you know what? It fucking works. They do recognize her. They didn't recognize her when she was inside the castle, literally inside the castle. She was told to not leave the castle, but again, there's no gates or doors or walls or anything. So everybody's like, oh, we just feel like Snow White like left, or nobody knows if she's still alive. And then she comes back. Nobody's seen her since. And everybody's like, hey, that's fucking Snow White. That's fucking Snow White. They haven't seen her for like 10 years. And they're like, holy shit, that's like Snow White right there. But you know what? Show up in a red cloak and everybody knows it's Snow White, because red cloak means Snow White. Snow White challenges the queen, and then the queen does more magic tricks with her flower that she keeps on her at all times. The queen's trying to make a moral appeal, but she won't give the people apples. So obviously apples is kind of the underlying theme of this movie. If you give people apples, they will like you. If you don't give them apples or don't have enough apples to give, you're an evil queen. Gotta be.
Obviously.
So the people are starving, right? But if they're starving, like, how do they have the energy to fight? They were starving to the point where Kermit had to go just walk into the castle storeroom and take food. So if the queen were trying to starve the people, would she not have all the food locked up? but anybody from the village can walk in and take any food they want, as long as they're not caught, right? And then the queen cuts off Snow White's red cloak for reasons, I guess, and then gives her a dagger for additional reasons unbeknownst to anybody. The script is kind of falling apart at this point in the movie. Snow White doesn't kill the queen when she has the chance, so the queen captures Snow White to kill her in front of everybody, which she could have just done if she wouldn't have handed Snow White the dagger in the first place and just stabbed her in the face or something. But again, like, it doesn't have to make sense because this is the modern Snow White and everybody loves everybody. And then everybody else, I guess, showed up to fight. And then Snow White's amazing memory of the guy who's coming to kill her, because the queen won't kill her, but she orders somebody else to kill her, Chad or something. Snow White remembers Chad, as we all do, from, 10, 15, 20 years ago or something. And that stops him, which is nice and easy and convenient. And and also, Snow White ate the poison apple to go to the sleeping death or something, right? But she's not actually dead. So wouldn't the mirror have also known that and just been like, yeah, you still did not kill Snow White, so surprise, Snow White is still the fairest of all. Like, she's not dead. You didn't give her the death apple. You gave her the sleeping death apple that can be cured. It can be reversed. So she's not dead. Still, Snow White is the fairest of all. But because Snow White remembered everybody's name, she wins over everyone. The queen tries to kill Snow White anyway, and she's like the fourth or fifth person at this point now to try and kill Snow White. And then that crossbow rebel guy thing saves the day, not by shooting the queen. No. We can't shoot anybody in this. But he takes his crossbow and he shoots the dagger out of the queen's hand. So he's not only the best crossbow shot in the freaking world, but he's also the dumbest decision maker of anybody anywhere, because he could have just shot the queen through the heart and ended it.
I will also like to add here, because this threw me off. I noticed right away when they introduced this character with his slingshot.
Was it a slingshot or a crossbow?
They didn't cast. He initially had a slingshot, no crossbow. He didn't have a crossbow until the very end when he shot the dagger.
When he needed a crossbow, because he didn't have the range on the slingshot. Yeah. So they did the research on slingshot range versus crossbow range. Anyway.
Apparently. So they refused to cast dwarf actors to play these magical creatures that are dwarves in this mythic universe. They have magic powers, right? Yeah. They're not dwarves like people. They're dwarves like magical beings.
Magical forest dwellers.
But they did cast, But they did cast a dwarf to play an actor who is now a bandit, which it's like, what? Like, I'm not against casting dwarven actors for any role. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
But you could have hired dwarf actors to play the magical minor guys.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's bizarre. Choice.
Well, you want to see a movie that casts people really well and it doesn't matter, is literally look at any movie that Peter Dinklage is in.
Yeah, he's a great actor, too.
He's a great actor, and it helps. And literally any movie he's in, even the ones that are rated a little lower, like there was some post-apocalyptic movie that he was in, and it was great. I really enjoyed it. And he was in Cicero.
Yeah, yep.
I think that one was fantastic. I love that one. But yeah, and of course Elf, like, greatest casting ever. But that one was very not what this movie was trying to be. So
he was in one of the Hunger Games movies.
You can definitely do it. You can cast, like, it doesn't matter. I don't think our society's audience today, I don't want to use modern audience because a lot of people use that for, like, the modern audience needs, non-gender, whatever. But, I don't think anybody today gives a crap how tall or short your actors are. I mean, we watch some movies and it's like, damn, that actor is like 6'9", what the hell? So it doesn't really matter. And sometimes you get, like, Danny DeVito, like any movie Danny DeVito's in, it's not really an issue. You know what I mean? Then the mirror decides to seal its own fate by telling the queen that Snow White will always be more fair. So the queen just murders the mirror. But it somehow, like, encapsulates the queen and takes her to the mirror realm and then rebuilds itself or something. And then that's it. That's like the movie. Like, they won. Snow White gave this whole speech about how hard it was going to be, but all she had to do was remember, like, two people's names. And then, of course, Dopey is the fucking narrator, because they needed not only, like, the book opening, but then they needed narration, and they needed 72 songs, and then they needed more narration, and then the fucking book thing again at the end. And then apple pies are back at the end. Everybody's wearing white and dancing and eating apple pies and not getting any fucking apple juice on themselves. And then the fucking hedgehog waves goodbye at the end just to just to be the final button on this fucking thing.
Dude, the white threw me. Because now, like, they were wearing these horrible costumes that are, like, surreal. And now they're all wearing, where did all these clothes come from? I thought everybody was poor.
Everybody is
How
poor.
did everybody get the resources to get brand new outfits?
Yeah, I mean, man, all you got to do is you got to bring the apple pies back, and then everybody breaks out their church wear, right? So, yeah, man. And the other thing about the costumes is the costumes look super fucking cheap. Like, I could go to fucking Dollar Tree and make costumes that look just as good as the costumes in this fucking movie. Like, the costumes look terrible. Whoever did the costumes for this movie, like, if your name is ever in the Academy Awards, like, you don't deserve it. You don't deserve it. These costumes are trash. Like, they look terrible. Even the dress that should have been, like, the Snow White, like, dress that should look really nice, it still looked like they went to Spirit Halloween and got a Snow White costume from Spirit Halloween. And it's like the fucking felt or like whatever, the super cheap, like kind of plasticky feeling stuff. And then they were like, hey, we just went to Spirit Halloween and got the costume, and it saved us how much money? You're still like millions of dollars in the hole because this thing is not good. But like all the costumes look fucking cheap as hell.
Dude, the costumes looked like what we would wear if we went with a group of dudes to go to like a Comic-Con and we said, oh yeah, we're going to dress up like the whoever, the fucking Fantastic Four. Like, we're going to get the cheap shit because we're throwing it away.
Well, but we also didn't have, like, disposable income, right? So we're like, okay, if I want to get, like, a beer at the Comic-Con, then I need to have a cheap outfit. If I make a good outfit, I can't get a beer at the Comic-Con. So I feel like a Hollywood studio, and they did the costumes well in the live-action Beauty and the Beast that came out however many years ago now. Like, the costumes were at least good. They could have done the same thing. I mean, you've got live action. You could have had, but they just, it's like they took like the clip art, or like a clip art version of the dress from the animated one, and then they handed it to somebody in home ec in high school, and were like, can you make this? And they're like, sure, totally can. It's going to be a lot of hot glue, though, but I can do it.
Yeah. The ending credits were fine. I mean, the opening and the ending was fine. The credits were fine. Better than a lot of the movie.
Yeah. So I did like the one song that the Kermit and Rachel White, whatever, sang together. I thought that one song was really good, like after they revived her and everything. And I was like, yeah, they sound decent together and whatnot. And he wasn't overly Kermity in that. And the song actually kind of made sense for the plot, where most of the other songs really didn't make a whole lot of sense and were kind of just in there. And you can tell they didn't get Lin-Manuel Miranda to do it, which is fine because he's got kind of like one style of song, which is fine. And you don't really need that in Snow White, but they could have taken some more risks on the songs and made the songs a little more appealing. They didn't really do it. I mean, the songs weren't a huge detractor other than the quantity of songs in the movie.
It was a musical that people would watch, like musical. Like Wicked is a musical.
Yeah, I mean, I love me a good musical. Like my favorite musical of all time is Music Man, the original like 1962 one. And there's a lot of singing, and the singing advances the plot, and the singing explains things to you. And in here, it was kind of, they had the same quantity of music as a real musical, but the quality of the music didn't do much to advance the plot other than like draw out like that one base emotion that could have been conveyed with a look.
A lot of time wasting, a lot of filler for a half a billion dollar
fucking
movie
hour
or
movie.
whatever the hell it cost.
Yeah,
a lot of filler. Not as tight as Alien.
No, not as tight as a lot of things, Mike.
All right, so...
But, like all that being said, like I had a lot of complaints about this movie, Mike, but I've definitely cut my shitty movie teeth on a lot of shitty movies, man. And there's been movies that have been so shitty that I've shut them off. And I never really had the urge to like shut this movie off. Like, because there's some movies you're watching, you're like, yeah, it's not great. It's not a great movie. Not super thrilled about it. But there are some movies where like, this is just fucking painful. And this movie wasn't painful. I don't think it fully deserves like the 1 point whatever rating on IMDb that it has. There's a lot of haters, and it's easy to hate this film. Very easy to hate this film. But you watch yourself some Sharks in the Corn or something, and then you tell me that somehow this movie is not...
All right. That is bullshit. Because Sharks in the Corn is a better
Sharks in the
movie.
Corn. I'd rather watch Sharks in the Corn again, or Lamageddon, or even maybe Birdemic. But Birdemic is a painful movie to watch. Funny as fuck, but painful. This movie wasn't really painful. It was just kind of like consistently inconvenient almost, or all the plot points were too convenient to be convenient. You know what I mean? Like you said, too surreal to be real, but too real to be surreal. So it's kind of in this super gray area, and just kind of wanted to watch to see what the fuck was going to happen or how they were going to tie it all together. And it was some bullshit, of course. But even at a 2 hour runtime, here's what I'd say, Mike. I don't know if you have you seen Killers of the Flower Moon?
No, I have not.
That's like a 3.5 hour long movie done by, I don't remember if it was Ridley Scott or whoever. It was a big director. 3.5 hour long movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. So you'd think, well-respected director, well-respected actor. 3.5 hours is a bit long, but it should be fine. I would rather watch this 2025 version of Snow White than Killers of the Flower Moon. Any day of the week. If you told me, let's go watch Killers of the Flower Moon, I'd be like, please just put on Snow White. Because Snow White, at least you can make fun of it a little bit. You can have a good time making fun of it, and we all have good memories of watching the original Snow White, the animated one. And Killers of the Flower Moon was just long and drawn out and overly preachy. And this one, Snow White was overly preachy, but it was overly preachy in a way that adults could understand, whereas kids are just like, hey, look, it's little magic men making gems in the mines and bad queen and whatever. You have to understand some of the context and some of the stuff to kind of dislike this movie.
It's very generic. Yeah. Modern Disney. Like, nothing offensive about it. The offensive part's already over,
Yeah. And it's better than that episode of Mandalorian with Lizzo.
Yeah, that was...
Oh my God.
Terrible casting.
Yeah, and I usually like Jack Black, but he's gotten a little Disney-fied himself as of late, so... All right, I'm done with my notes. You have more to add, Mike? I'm sorry I kind of ran away with all that. I was concerned about not getting through my notes.
No.
Your notes be damned, I guess. I just...
No. I interjected with my notes. Hopefully
Yes.
Hopefully it won't get cut. Hopefully there will be no editing of my notes.
No, I don't think anything will be cut. I don't think anything needs to be cut. I'm trying to, let's see. I don't know if I even rated Snow White yet. So right now, as of recording, Snow White, it got up to a 2. It was like 1.8. And I didn't rate it yet. A lot of people just hate it because they just hate it. I guess I would tell you I never even finished the live action Aladdin because I hated it so much. Like, that one was painful enough I shut it off. This one wasn't that. I'm gonna rate Snow White. I'm just gonna rate it a 5. It was fine. It's not one I'm ever gonna watch again, but I don't think it was that bad in the grand scheme. Of course, you listen to an hour and a half almost of me bitching about how bad this movie was. Only because I'm being critical as like a filmmaker and other things, but Mike and I have said it. It's perfectly serviceable as a modern Disney movie. It's not winning any awards. It's not doing anything groundbreaking. It's kind of, pooping on your childhood of watching the animated one and subverting some of that. But if you just want a movie to put on and not really have to pay a whole lot of attention to, it's perfectly fine. It's as good as some of those Jason Statham movies they keep pumping out month after month, it seems. There's always a new one, right? Every month.
Yeah, I can see how that's pretty equivalent. It's nothing special. It's exactly what you expect it to be.
Yeah.
If you like that sort of movie, you'll like it well enough.
Yeah, if you want to hear some new songs that aren't terribly great, then go for it. Rachel does a fine job. She's not... I don't, in this movie at least, I did not see her as a dynamic actress or actor, right? She was just kind of like, it felt like it was just her kind of walking through these scenes and reading the lines. She sings fine. It's not a problem. It's not that nobody could carry a tune in this movie. The songs were fine, kind of overly generic again, and nothing that was really catchy because they added a lot of songs from the animated one. So
They did, and they retooled them a little bit. I will say that for anybody who's watched the fourth Hunger Games movie, that she was a lot better in that.
Oh, I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah, that one has Peter Dinklage and obviously Rachel Zegler, and it's a perfectly fine movie. You know, it's not as good as the original, but I enjoyed it.
Okay.
I'd watch it.
Yeah, I don't have any hatred for Rachel Zegler at all. I watched a video where they're saying she's acting above her fame level and stuff like that. And I mean, that's modern day time, is anybody with access to the internet, which is almost everybody, is pretty much acting above their fame level with the things they put online or how they do interviews and what they say at times. And that's why we edit the show, because we're not necessarily any better than Rachel, other than we edit. And it's not even that much, but, when you're trying to talk to a lot of people and you say controversial things, then people hate your movie. And I think that's kind of what Rachel fell into, and then they tried to get a handle on that. And that was maybe the main reason the movie was delayed so much, is because she kept opening her mouth.
Yes. First, I have a correction. It is the 5th movie. It is the 4th book of the Hunger Games.
Oh,
so
sure.
I misspoke earlier.
Yeah, because they did the part 1, part 2.
Yeah, the part 1, part 2, which I forgot about. But the biggest issue with the movie is Rachel Zegler's mouth. She can't keep her fucking mouth shut.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's her publicist. I don't know if it's if she just is wacky to the point where she can't, just not say something. Like, just don't say anything. That is a perfectly acceptable thing to do, 100% of the way. A lot of the actors and actresses who are now older, but who were popular 10, 20 years ago, they don't say anything unless it's about movie or acting. They're
pretty much.
You don't know what they're like outside of their persona that they're trying to sell you, right? Like, I have no idea what these people are actually like.
Some of them do, but they do it in kind of a tactful way that maybe comes with age, and I think the one thing they could have done to make this better, which you mentioned earlier, was cast a better evil queen. And that would have played off of, Rachel Zegler's kind of like naive, communist,
I even thought
hopeful.
Like Sarah Jessica Parker, if they did her makeup.
Sure, yeah.
A little younger. She's 60 now, so a little too old for that role, but you can make her look younger. She's a great actress.
Demi Moore or somebody, right? Like, you could have taken
There's
a classic,
lot of people that could have
classic bombshell actress from the 90s or early 2000s and done that and cast an age appropriate person, and it would have lended more realism to the evil queen's plight. But again, like, everybody in this movie was too beautiful and too clean and too shiny and everything, so it was really kind of a weird mismatch. And I guess, like, this movie, I was thinking about it too, because, like, you had the Batman movies, right? You had the Adam West Batman, which was super cheesy. And then you had even the one with Danny DeVito was darker, but it was still had that kind of like Batman comedy. And then you had the Dark Knight trilogy, and it was really a dark Batman that everybody really was drawn to really see, like, the gritty Batman. And they did the same thing with the Bond movies. They went from kind of the super cheesy, and even with the Daniel Craigs, they were supposed to be grittier, and they were grittier, but he still had his James Bond humor. But they were still gritty films, and you felt like things were realistic. And they went like they took, because I mean the dwarves straight up fucking murdered the queen, dude, in the animated one, and the turkey vultures went down and like picked her flesh off, her bones, right? And I mean, they didn't show that, but they showed the turkey vultures go down to get the queen. And they went the opposite route. They went from like the Christian Bale version of the story to the Adam West version of the story, and it was like everything was like too clean and too neat and very fantasy, like utopian type of thing. And the evil queen was not evil enough to warrant any of the evil queen titles that were bantied about. So
no, like I say, the evil queen was way nicer than your current government. Wherever you're living right now, the evil queen was nicer to her prisoners than your government, guaranteed.
Yes. Certainly nicer than United Healthcare.
So Nate, I don't know how to transition, but how do you like your cigar?
You know what? I guess I almost like the Connecticut one better, Mike. Oh, I see you gave it a 3.5. It's probably better. I was going to say, I gave Snow White a 5 out of 10. I'll probably give this one a 3.25 out of 5 because it's good. I like it. If I'm going to smoke a Maduro in this price range, I don't know what the price range is, but if I'm going to smoke like a cheap Maduro, there's other Maduros I would likely pick first. Whereas the Connecticut
this is like a mid-range Toro. It's not good enough. It's unremarkable. It is a little bit better than a 3, but it's not.
Yeah, not.
I would never smoke this again. I mean, I would smoke it again if you gave it to me, but I would never buy it.
I'm not going to go buy it. The Nest Connecticut, though, I mean, we both like that one quite a bit. So that one I'd likely buy. Because like what, a 4.75 out of 5? Yeah, I'm going to go buy that one again. And if I see a pack of them or something like that's a good one to have on hand. This one's fine. It's not bad. If I'm going to smoke something like this, it's going to be something different. It's not going to be this one. This one's not. It's fine. I mean, I enjoyed it. It worked for our conversation and everything, which is what we do on the show is we smoke a cigar and have a conversation. But yeah, it's just fine. Just fine. Have you, real quick, Mike, have you seen, what was it, the Snow White and the Huntsman movie?
I probably have.
Yeah, that's what I think too. I feel like I did too, but that, of course, has come up in the kind of online discussions of this film where people didn't really like the Snow White and the Huntsman when it first came out. But kind of going back and looking at it now, people are like, actually, it's not that bad of a film. So I might have to check that one out again. And I think they made a sequel to it that didn't really have Snow White in it all that much, but that might be worth a rewatch. Kind of like the Disney sequels elevated the prequels in everybody's estimation.
They did, and I will say that I watched the prequels in theater, as I'm sure you may have.
Yes, of course I did.
I didn't think they were bad. They just weren't as good as they needed to be.
Yes, I agree. And I'll talk to you a little bit about the prequels in next episode, as has to happen. But thanks for listening. Just go watch the original Snow White. You don't have to watch this one. This one's not as bad as everybody online says, and it's fine. It's not terrible. It's not offensive. I didn't leave it feeling offended about the source material or anything like that. So it was fine. Not a big deal. Not a big deal at all.
Be safe. Have fun.